Alright, fuckers and fuckettes, now this morning we're going to talk about ways to pick on Yankees. See, I used to have this one Yankee I love picking on him because he thinks he knows something about motorcycles. And you know, I'd get him with little things like, you know, on the S-Rat I had that high torque starter on there, which wasn't even in the stock location. Side cover wasn't stock, none of that. But yeah. Oh, you ain't done nothing to that motor, that's the stock starter. I just laugh inside, fucking let him make a fool out of himself. You know, and I got him another time, I had the tank raised and I was talking about the nitrous, which was foggers, old-fashioned fogger plates right in the intakes. And granted, I had the lines off and I had it removed. And I never did pull my little black cover up underneath the rear end and show him where the solenoids were, which I also had those capped. I mean, I had the lines off. I think I had the bottle mount up under there one time, maybe, but I never bothered showing him. But he was sitting there looking at the carbs and said that they never had nitrous on them. Didn't even know what a fucking fogger plate was, much less was for him right in front of his eyes. He'd make a fool out of himself. That shit to me is funny. I mean, that makes Yankees easy to pick on because they'll embarrass themselves like that. You know, or what's hilarious, I mean, it's not really hilarious, but he come up here after all that shit happened with the house, you know. I mean, I lost about half my tools, fucking had to sell bikes for pennies on the dollar. He'd come up here a couple of times, you know, trying to act like everything's alright. And that last time he came up here, I said, oh no, I asked him, I said, so all that shit was, you know, I knew. I even said that Peg said it wasn't her idea, and I believe Peg long before I would him, or her mother. But I asked him, I said, you know, all that shit, Peg said it wasn't her idea. And so you're saying that that was her mother's idea? You know, because he was playing it off like he was just going along. But her mother's not capable of that thought. And sure enough, when I asked him that, he couldn't look me in the eye and say yes or no. You know, I mean, I'm out a whole bunch of tools over that shit. I don't really give a fuck. I'm out a lot more than that. I mean, I fucking dump a bunch of shit in the bay because I didn't know if somebody had used them or if somebody had stolen from somewhere. And, you know, I do legitimate business. You want to come in and you want to pay me in guns or whatever, you know, hey, hand them to Dave, hand them to somebody. You know, whatever they tell me that they're worth, well, I trust them to sell it and get me that. But anyway, all my shit ended out in the bay because I don't actually know that somebody didn't use them or steal them or whatever. I don't check. Unless they're trading me something interesting, I don't even handle them half the time. But, you know, I have fun picking on him because, I mean, he would tell me, oh, take the Hayabusa out, it'll do over 200. Yeah, so would my S-Rat. You know, when I watched him try and do a burnout one day, all he got was a little puff of smoke. You know, and he was cheating, saw his fingers go for the brake. But, how many of y'all local street racer kiddies sat there and watched me how many times after I won a bike, I just fucking never touched the brake and keep that goddamn back tire smoking. Literally burn one to the cords before I fucking hit the 3/4 of a mile mark. I mean, how many of y'all street racer kiddies were down there at Target Warehouse when I hit it a little bit too hard and fucking smoked the back tire and made it pop going down the track. You know, I mean, he had no fucking clue. You know, folder this thick on that bike. You know, of its racing history from 2000 to 2002, it was an F1/GP bike, and granted, the guy never made it higher than 498 in the point standings, but wasn't the bike's fault. And for about 20 minutes in 2002, it held the piston-powered, normally aspirated, meaning non-turbo, no blower, under 1 mile speed record. You know, and I mean, I let him talk his shit. He was always telling me, oh no, that can't do that, oh there's nothing been done to that motor. He told me one time on the exhaust that it could, oh that wouldn't pass a track inspection, no, they've got noise regulations. Well, I let him make a fool of himself on that one because in 2000 to 2002, those noise restrictions were a lot fucking lower than they are now. But you know, I'm like, hey, I mean, all y'all local folks know when I went up to the casinos, ain't no fucking inspection even at the casinos, and they don't care about the noise. In fact, they want it. You know, down there at Target Warehouse, fuck, that old man that was letting us race down there, he didn't care. Hell, he was out there drinking his beer, having a good time listening to all them motors. I'm sorry, engines. But you see, Yankees are easy to pick on like that. And there's other ways, too, to get them to make fools of themselves. I mean, you start talking about fishing down here, and they'll start talking about fishing up there. And it's like two whole different ball games. Okay, it's all throw a fucking pole in the water and something's gonna bite sooner or later, no matter what you got in there. But just funny shit like that. To me, the most fun in picking on Yankees is to let them embarrass themselves. Never say a word, keep a straight face, just let them keep talking. And just laugh inside and laugh with your buddies afterwards. But shit's too easy. Anyway, that's just one of many ways I pick on Yankees. I mean, I pull all the Yankee jokes, you know. Difference between a Yankee and a damn Yankee is a Yankee, that's someone from up north that comes down to visit. Damn Yankee stays. Well, now there is a third category. There's a goddamn Yankee. That motherfucker moves in next door. Or across the street, you know, something like that. You know, I've got probably a million Yankee jokes. I love picking on them fuckers because they don't get it. And, you know, they come down here and I always tell them, you know, Florida's got 2 seasons. They got Yankee and construction. And the part that I don't tell them is we have construction season because all these damn Yankees come down here and do all the shit they wouldn't do at home. I mean, you know, Yankee season, you go down up and down the intercoastal, there's bottles and bags and all kind of shit. When it's not Yankee season, that intercoastal's pretty clean. Yankees just don't care. They tear up motel rooms, tear up rental properties, and that's why we have construction season. But you know, you don't tell them that part, and they'll laugh. You know, which to me is embarrassing themselves because they're admitting that they ain't got no moral values, much less a sense of honor. Anyway, holler at y'all fuckers and fuckheads later.